Welcome back to Speaking Our Truth, the podcast where we dive deep into the experiences, mysteries, and spiritual journeys that shape our lives. I'm your host, Jolene Matheson, and in today's episode, I will be exploring the fascinating concept of twin flames, the idea of finding your other half, the soul connection that transcends time and space. Whether you've heard of twin flames before or are curious to learn more about this powerful and transformative bond, today's conversation will help you understand what twin flames are, how to recognize them, and what it means for your spiritual growth. Get ready to tune in and speak your truth as we uncover the depths of this cosmic connection. So, my OGs, those that have known me for some time, will know that I've been on this journey, or let's just say I'm not exactly on the twin flame journey anymore, but I've been very interested in twin flames right from the beginning of my spiritual journey. So since I started offering readings and getting into energetic healing, I was very fascinated by this concept of twin flames. I went all in and did a lot of research on it and determined who my own twin flame was. And putting the puzzle pieces together, this made 100 complete sense to me. How this how it played out, or should I say didn't play out, but it made a lot of sense. And as we continue with this episode, it may make a lot more sense to you as well. There's really a lot to unpack here, so I'm not sure if I'll get to everything in this episode. I'll just check the time. We may need to have a follow-up episode to get deeper into this. Today, I'm not joined by anybody, as it seems that I feel like a lot of people these days lately don't really want to touch on twin flames. Yes, there are some people who go all in with it and speak on it. But since I've been gravitating away from my twin flame journey, I guess I've surrounded myself with people who are not so all in with the twin flame concept. And perhaps you will also start to understand why as we continue with this. So, the OGs, or the original ones who have followed me from my journey, will know that when I started out, I was fully taught on twin flames and I was 100% pro it. And I definitely believed that we should be with our twin flames. I even had a group where we would get together and meditate on it to try and attract our twin flames to us. There are meditations you can get into to do that. YouTube has those meditations on there. If you'd like me to help you out with which ones I found potentially could have worked or I felt more of a connection with, then you can reach out to me and I'll share those with you if it's something you still want to continue with by the end of all this. It's a meditation. The one that I enjoyed doing at the time was one where you can go into the cosmic realm, for want of a better word, and you could actually meet up with your twin flame and have a conversation with them, whether you've met them in this reality or not. So those are definitely things you can consider. But before you embark on this journey, I would say it is in your best interest to fully understand what this concept is. Okay, many of you may already be on this journey. So this podcast may give you understanding of why that is or isn't working for you. So you'll just need to bear with me. There's a lot to unpack here. So let's get on with my notes. Okay. So there is a lot of conflicting information about twin flames. It can be very challenging to know what to believe. So I'm hopefully going to provide some clarity on this topic for you. And it's very important not to take everything you read at face value. Look, I've been told that I'm not currently married to my twin flame, but I've been told that I'm actively preventing him from being with his twin flame and I need to be with my own. It's not always realistic for the reality that you're currently in for you to embark on that. I mean, it would not make sense to go and break up a relationship or a marriage simply because you feel that you belong with somebody. There are forces that work against us for fulfilling our purpose. And so I would encourage you to pay attention to these lessons. And if you ask me, I have articles on this topic and you can educate yourself to make an informed decision. So firstly, we're going to look at the difference between soulmates and twin flames. So soulmate is someone with whom you feel a deep connection. This can be a friend, a family member, or a romantic partner. Essentially, it's anyone who helps you to grow and evolve into your true self. I also personally believe, since I'm also a past life reader and a past life regression therapist, I also truly believe that soul flame is simply, not a soul flame, a soulmate is simply somebody that you have a past life, or if you believe in concurrent life paths, it's someone you have a connection with already. It's when you meet somebody and you know, despite us only meeting each other now or only having this minimal contact with each other, I know you. I recognize you. Your soul recognizes their soul. So, and you can have this connection with anyone. It doesn't have to be romantic at all. Twin flames. So twin flame is similar to a soulmate, but it's on a more profound level. They reflect your inner self and can feel like a mirror image to you. And it's crucial to note that a twin flame is not simply a lesson about life. In some cases, your destiny may lead you to complete your purpose with a soulmate instead. But yeah, twin flame, I want to, if we're going to put it into a nutshell, everybody goes onto this twin flame journey and think you feel like you feel like it's just this romantic journey. You think it's because a twin flame is always romantic. Yeah, you feel like it's romantic and it's meant to be, and there is no other way for you. But a twin flame is so much more than that. I may touch on this later, but like it's so much more than that. You have a shared purpose, and if you're not aligned or not on that same part of your journey, then you're gonna clash. You're not gonna. It's not gonna be as romantic or as perfect as you would like it to be. And also, it's a very intense connection, which we will touch on later on, either today or later on. We'll see how it goes. But it's more than just, you share a life purpose together. So it's more than just about connecting on a romantic level and all that goes with it. So if you're on your spiritual journey and your twin flame has not quite evolved to that level, it's not gonna work. You may even never meet in this life, in this reality, or one of you may have passed on and you may not have connected, but for some reason, or they may have moved on with somebody else and have come from a background where separating is not an option, or whatever the reason may be. But if you're not aligned or on the same page, the chances of you getting together is a lot slimmer. I won't say impossible. There's always a possibility of that. And in perfect reality, if you're on a twin flame journey, you will end up with your twin flame. But it doesn't always work that way. So anyway, so finding your twin flame in life is not easy. You may have missed them due to various reasons, such as heartbreaks, grief, marital problems, or exhaustion. It's important to be aware of the people you meet and share your lives with, as your twin flame might be one of them. So yeah, a few signs that will help you recognize your twin flame and help you connect with them. When you meet your twin flame, you feel a strong sense of familiarity that you cannot explain. You may experience deja vu or feel like you have met them before, or you have a sense that you're meant to be together. Just bear in mind that can also be a sign of soulmate and not just twin flame. So be mindful of the other signs. So you have a feeling that they'll play an important role in your personal growth, but you don't know when, why, or how. Another thing to note here is that it's not necessarily going to work on your timeline. So if you're ready at a particular time, like when you meet and they're not, it may not happen in that moment. It may happen later on. I mean, I've heard some beautiful stories about one in particular that stood out to me was a couple that went to school together. They were each other's first loves, but things happened, life got in the way, and they separated and they married other people. And then I think it was something like 25 where their significant others both passed on, and they found each other again and spent another 20 odd years together completing their journey. So fulfilling their life purpose. So it may not happen when you expect it or when you necessarily feel like you're ready, because you both have to be on that same path bear in mind it may not even happen in this reality or on this timeline or in this lifetime. So you will immediately feel a deep and intense connection with them, which is both invigorating and overwhelming. Being with them feels like you found a safe and comfortable place to be. You can be your true self with them and are not afraid of being judged or rejected. You both balance each other out with your strengths and weaknesses complementing each other. Okay, I want to go back to this previous point where it was just working in my mind here, where you can be your true self with them and not be afraid of being judged or rejected. We're not including situations where you are somebody who has to work on self-esteem issues or that's in that context. And I'm going to go with that. These are some points that can definitely help you align with your twin flame, but you may not match entirely with these things if you're not on the right timeline. Because everybody experiences trauma in some shape or form, and everybody will handle trauma differently. So I need to stress, because I've heard some people telling other people your twin flame will never hurt you. And at the end of the day, we're all human. So we can be misaligned at some point. And we've all said something to somebody that we care about that we wish we could take back in the moment. So it's not 100% a true formula, but the feeling is there. The bond is there, the intensity. So when you get together and you're on the same wavelength, you'll feel a sense of expansion as if you're larger than your individual selves. The twin flame will help you to become a better person, and you do the same for them. So you're both attached and unattached, meaning you have a strong bond but still maintain your individual freedom. You both sense each other's energy and are highly empathetic towards each other. Now, this is a big thing, because even if you're not on the same page, rest assured that this will be factual. You will both be able to sense each other's energy no matter what. And you'll always find your way back to each other unless you do something to prevent that from happening, which is something I had to do in my own situation, because it was always like that. There was always a way for us to find each other and maintain contact with each other, even though it was difficult. I mean, he wasn't somebody who was on social media. And before I became somebody that worked predominantly on social media, I also used to put my Facebook profile as private and not findable. So we still managed to find a way, no matter what, until I eventually decided that I was no longer for this journey and I was going to remove myself from it. This is we're not discussing cord cutting in this scenario, but if you know anything about cord cutting, traditional cord cutting will work with anyone, but traditional cord cutting will not work with your twin flame. Anyone except your twin flame. You need to separate that on a higher level, because it's literally a mirror image of yourself. So, but you'll feel like you've been waiting for this person all your life. You share deep values and aspirations for life, which goes beyond surface similarities. The twin flame reflects what you desire and fear the most, which helps you heal and grow. So this is now where you get a bit of a clash in there, or contradiction, if you will, because if it's something that you fear and you don't want to, if you're not ready to heal and grow from it, then you're going to have your mismatch or feel like there's the separation. Runner-chaser syndrome, which we can elaborate a little bit later on, although let me just touch on that. But like runner-chaser would be when there's one that's all in and you feel all these things, but not the runner, the chaser would be the one where you're all in and you feel all these things and you're ready to give it your best shot. But the runner is not ready for this and is overwhelmed by it and cannot fathom having this close connection, so they run and perhaps may move on with somebody else that is not such an intense connection. So no matter how many times you try to avoid or leave your twin flame, you'll always fall back. That's what I got back to before, what I mentioned before in the case of my twin flame. Try to avoid them. Despite living in completely different cities, we always managed to somehow bump into each other in some way, even if we hadn't had contact for some time. Or, like I said, we wasn't even on social media, still managed to find each other and didn't even have each other's numbers for a lot of the time. But yeah. So one of you is more mature than the other and often serves as the teacher, counselor, or confidant. You learn important life lessons such as forgiveness, empathy, gratitude, and open-mindedness together. Your connection is multifaceted, with your twin flame being your friend, lover, teacher, nurturer, and muse all at once. Again, people get caught up in the romantic side of things, and that's not all of it. You need to be able to mature beyond that and get past the fact that it's all got to be about that romantic connection. The twin flame accepts you for who you are and encourages you to do the same for yourself. It may not feel like it's acceptance, especially if they're pushing you away. Let's just be mindful of that. They may not say this to you in so many words. You can be truthful with each other about anything. Together, you both feel driven towards a higher purpose, whether it's spiritual, social, or ecological. So again, together, you feel driven towards that higher purpose. But timing can be off. But this isn't a perfect scenario. The perfect situation, this is what it is. I feel like the takeaway of this section of this podcast is that you need to just understand that if you're both not ready and aligned or in that place, then you may not be experiencing a lot of these recognizing who your twin flame is. I want to just also go back onto like soulmates. We said there were many of them. Twin flame, you only have one. There's only one twin flame. But the takeaway, that's what I wanted to mention. The takeaway was that if in a perfect place, in a perfect situation, a perfect scenario, that is what you're going to feel. You feel like you have this shared purpose and this shared desire to accomplish things and accomplish life together. But again, you need to be on the same wavelength for this to materialize and for you to truly recognize it in your soul. You may feel it and they may not feel it, or they may be afraid of the connection, or vice versa. You could even be the runner. I believe at one stage I was told that I was the runner in the situation and that I pulled away, that I feel like we probably, in my case, I feel like we both switched up the roles every now and then. So it wasn't just one of us doing the running. So let's talk about some misconceptions of twin flames. So your twin flame completes you. This is a myth. In reality, your twin flame helps you become more complete. They do not complete you. So your twin flame is a catalyst for your personal growth and development. They reveal what areas you may be lacking, but they do not complete you. The truth is that you're already whole, and your twin flame is to remind you of this. Another myth, your twin flame is a member of opposite sex. Your twin flame might be the same gender as you, which can cause you to question your sexuality and your beliefs about life. Your twin flame is just like you. Your twin flame is most likely your opposite, your mirror image. You may share some similarities, but you also have many differences, and these differences contribute to your relationship, making it unique and special. Your twin flame will come at the right time and be in the right place. Your twin flame might appear at the worst possible time. And they will appear when you least expect it. It may come at a bad time, such as during or after a crisis, or while one of you are already in a relationship. So there could be this complete mismatch, which will mess with the dynamic completely. You will always recognize your twin flame straight away. That's the myth. You might not initially recognize your twin flame until much later in life. I myself did not know. I didn't know much about twin flames, but I also didn't know that my twin flame was this deep connection. All I felt was that when it ended, we had a brief relationship, if you can call it that. When it ended, I felt like nothing was more wrong in that moment. Despite not knowing him for very long at that time, I felt like it was completely wrong. I'm talking about like right at the beginning, we had like a brief relationship, and then we maintained a friendship of sorts once we got over the initial rejection and whatnot. So on and off, we maintained a friendship. So we somehow found got drawn back to each other, but we didn't re-establish the relationship, once a better word. But anyway, let's not dwell on things that are best left in the past. But I didn't know at the time that he was my twin flame or the one that I had forever with. I just really felt like they were unfinished business. And it was only when I realized, when I established, after communicating with my guys and discussing this with my guys to try and determine who this person was in my life, and the realization dawned on me. Now, bear in mind, I hadn't spoken to him for like a full year at the time. He was not the first person that came to my forefront and jumped into my mind. Before you say that that's what I was hoping for, that was not the case. And at this point, he already lived in a completely different city to me, and I thought that my twin flame may be closer, or that I hadn't met them yet. But yeah, so I did not, when it became apparent that this person was my twin flame, it made complete sense to me after understanding what exactly twin flames were. So yeah, but your level of consciousness may also affect your ability to recognize your twin flame. Younger souls may have a harder time distinguishing their twin flames from other lovers, while older souls may have an easier time. As in how long you've been, how many lifetimes you've gone through, and how many realities you've lived in. We get new souls as well that have only been around for a short time. So if you're a newer soul, then you may struggle to come to terms with that. And also, if you haven't come across or haven't established a relationship with your twin flame on other timelines. So another myth. Twin flame relationships are always happy, smiley, and perfect. Twin flame relationships can be tumultuous, overwhelming, and intense. They can be categorized by intense arguments and clashes. This is usually a result of karmic cleansing, where all your faults, flaws, and deepest core wounds are brought to the light to be dealt with and healed. And if you're not ready to be healed, this could push you away rather than bring you closer together. Another myth. You'll immediately be ready to invite your twin flame into your life. You might not be ready to open up to your twin flame. It may take months or years to understand the significance of your twin flame and be ready to invite them into your life. Due to the intensity of twin flame relationships, it is common for them to disintegrate quickly and re-emerge later in life when both partners are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually ready. So, yeah, that goes like the transcends. And some people, you may decide that this is not for you and that you would rather settle with a soulmate, which is a much easier relationship to comprehend and much easier to find your safe space and get, instead of wasting years. Some people may have a different perception. You may be happy to wait those years, many years, to do that. I was just of the opinion that life is too short and I can't keep doing this anymore. So it's best we move on to something more tangible, more concrete. So I see we're going to be finishing up with this. So, but do feel free to ask me questions if there's something that I missed or that I didn't cover in this podcast. So now we're going to get on to understanding the twin flame journey. What is the role of energy? So the twin flame connection is a unique and intense energetic connection. As two components of the same energy, the vibrational frequency or soul song of twin flames is identical. This phenomenon makes sense when we consider that the world is energy in motion. Awareness of energy is crucial to making the twin flame journey a happy adventure rather than an ongoing struggle. Though you and your twin flame were originally two parts of the same pure and whole energy, or the same soul, being apart from each other allowed you to absorb energy from others, which complicates the situation. When you and your twin flame finally meet, there is an energetic release that occurs, triggered by your souls, to release any and all energies that impede your harmonious reunion. So many twins will struggle with this energetic release because old negativity resurfaces as it is being purged. And this could be also energy from past lives. It doesn't have to be in this lifetime. Or it could be trauma triggers. So now suddenly experiencing bouts of irrational fear and jealousy, or being physically disturbed by the person you have fallen in love with, can be disheartening. There is also much confusion regarding this phenomenon, but it's important to know that reliving old hurts isn't necessary, and the twin flame connection doesn't have to be fraught with negativity. But you both need to be on this page. You can start this on your own, and if you're willing to go that extra mile, but you need to be a very strong person. If you're in separation and you're holding on, if you choose to hold on to this energy until you can eventually connect, if you're happy with doing that, then just understand that it's going to be very disheartening, tumultuous, and very chaotic. It's a lot of chaotic energy, and you will find that it will hurt a lot of the time. It's not an easy journey to choose to be on if you're in separation. Twin flame journey is not for the faint of heart. The good news is that when you know what causes the struggle, negative energy being released by the two of you, you can remedy the situation by helping the energy release happen as quickly and smoothly as possible. It will happen more quickly and smoothly if you're both on the same page. The twin flame experience is not meant to be painful or to prepare you for a soulmate. Twin flames are being reunited all around the world. If you're coming into your purpose, you will be reunited with your twin flame. You can choose whether or not to continue with them, but it's not the intended plan for your life. Above all, it's important to remember that you're not crazy. If you feel your twin flame touching you, dream about them more vividly than your waking life. Hear their voice in your head or feel their emotions as if you're turning into their moods. It's normal. Your connection runs deep on the energetic plane and you belong together. Ideally, in a perfect world. And I can personally say, without getting too personal, I've had some very real cosmic interactions with my twin flame when I was still hopeful of the reunion, of getting back with them. I had some very real cosmic experiences despite being separated. As I said, I did meditations that we worked on where I had conversations with them. That I even go so far as to say some sensual experiences, which we won't discuss too deeply, but all of this is very real. And you're not crazy if you feel that you experience any of these things. It is a connection that is very difficult to break away from. Ideally, in a perfect world, you should be together, but you just also need to understand that it's not only your decision to do so, they also need to choose to be with you. But if you're not for the long haul and you're ready to experience all those challenges and you're on board with it, then keep manifesting, keep hoping, keep praying. Keep doing that. If ideally you ought to find your way to each other. But yes, just know that at the end of the day, it is your choice, and the journey can be extremely difficult. So, with that being said, I also offer personal readings, so I can read into your twin flame situation. I'm not going to be one of those readers. I mean, I used to be very hopeful and full of hope until I knew what I know now about twin flames. So I'll give you the honest truth. If I don't feel like you're going to find your way together in this reality, I will tell you. And if I feel that you will find your way together in this reality, even if you have to wait a long time for that to happen, I will tell you. I'll be the honest truth. I'm not just going to tell you what you want to hear, or concur with what you may have heard from other readers, because there are definitely some readers who are very all for the twin flame experience, and I've heard some psychic mediums say that you don't want to be with your twin flame. And I get it. I do completely get it. You were part of the same energy and you separated in order to create lessons on your own or for whatever reason. But at some point you chose to be separate from them. So it makes sense that you would not want to, or you could not, or you would not connect again until you're ready to face that part of you that you initially sent away. So yeah, it's a choice that everybody gets to make. I chose not to continue on my twin flame journey because I personally felt like I was smothered him in my sleep. But again, it's stuff that trigger. Don't they say that the things that trigger you the most are the things you don't like about yourself? That's it can very often be the case. So things that we would choose not to deal with. But when you're ready to confront those issues, those fears, those challenges, that part of yourself, the side of yourself that you felt you didn't want to handle, or that they felt they didn't want to handle, then you can find your way back to each other. It's just many twin flames are finding their way to each other, but not everybody is on a twin flame journey, or will necessarily find their way back to each other. At least not in this reality, or in this timeline. Perhaps in another timeline, you'll find your way, unless you choose to end it. Because if you cut cords, or you find a way to cut cords from your twin flame, you cut it across all lines of time. Just be mindful of that. Note, if you wish to reconnect at some point, it wouldn't be in your best interest to sever those connections. But if you are done with all the turmoil, and you're ready to be loved, which is also your right, and be with a true partner who has your back, then you can absolutely continue keeping on the hope and manifesting and holding on to that connection. So yeah, if you would like a reading, you're very welcome to reach out to me. You can, if you're seeing this on Facebook, you can just connect with me on Facebook. You can also send me an email at info@psychicharmony.co.za. You can find my website, www.psychicharmony.co.za. Yeah, and that's about it. I'm also on TikTok, I think. Yeah, you can also find me on TikTok and on YouTube. Obviously, if you bought this, you can also catch this podcast on Spotify. Please do, if you don't already, please remember to like, follow, and share, subscribe, and tune in for next week's episode. Love and light.